But the crazy thing, and I'm not sure if you are understanding this, is they have the water, in this case, let's say the water, already refrigerated.
And they put more ice?
Yeah. Americans, they have to, my friends, you have to explain that. I don't have a good answer, sorry.
Such questions have been at the forefront of my mind this summer, not least because my wife and I recently got an ice making machine. Shut up, it's great. And if you would like this machine...
See, they are so obsessed that they have
They have
machines to make ice. What the?
so crazy.
machine...
Sarah.
What?
Now I have a secret that I need to share with you.
Really?
Really, and it's about Americans. They are great people, no doubt about that, but they are also obsessed
With what?
with ice.
Why?
That's a great question, and because of that, we are going to react to why Americans are so obsessed with ice cubes. That said, say hello to our friends.
Hi guys!
My friends, thank you so much for all the support. We really appreciate that. They prefer that I react with you. I prefer to react with you. Ask them for the most important thing.
Guys, leave a like, thumbs up.
And if they subscribe,
You make our day.
that's right. Link for the original video below. Let's go into this.
One of the first things that pilgrims would have seen upon reaching present-day America would have been water on the rocks. It seems only appropriate then that water on the rocks has also become a popular American drink. And I'm not talking about seaweed-infested water from New England, I'm talking about water served with ice.
Okay, let's go into this.
Of course, I use the example of water to service a really great pun. But honestly, Americans put ice in almost everything, from cocktails to mocktails, from coffee to tea. They even sell bags of...
You know what? I'm not even sure. This may sound dumb, but at this point, I'm not even sure if they don't put ice on wine and beer.
On wine.
That could be a thing. My friends, if I'm actually saying something that offends you, sorry, but you guys put ice on everything, so I assume even beer is not safe.
At the petrol station. And to people in my homeland of Britain, where frozen water is used far more sparingly, America's ice cube culture can at times seem like an obsession. So, is it? And why do Americans insist on bulking up their liquids with more liquids, albeit solid ones?
Okay, Sarah, the thing is, putting ice on a drink
It's normal.
is quite normal.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing, and I'm not sure if you are understanding this, is they have the water, in this case, let's say the water, already refrigerated.
And they put more ice?
Yeah. Americans, they have to, my friends, you have to explain that. I don't have a good answer, sorry. Because if the water is already frozen, why are you guys putting ice on the top? Makes no sense. And stop it. My friends, I was editing the video and I realized that I said frozen water with ice cubes. That makes zero sense. Let's speak American. What I meant to say was cold water, refrigerated water with a lot of ice cubes. You guys are still obsessed with ice. I don't understand why, but let's continue.
Well, as a British person myself who moved to the United States, such questions have been at the forefront of my mind this summer, not least because my wife and I recently got an ice making machine. Shut up, it's great. And if you would like this machine...
See, they are so obsessed that they have machines to make ice. What the?
So crazy.
Machine of a YouTube channel to reach 1 million subscribers and you haven't yet become one yourself, do that now!
Okay, my friends, do it for us.
In the meantime...
Actually, the thing about the ice machine is we kind of have that here on the fridge. Sometimes the biggest.
It's enough for us.
Yeah, and the American fridges, they make ice. Now that makes more sense the more I think about. But a machine to do ice never said that. Genius. I mean, yeah,
yes,
genius.
because it's a part of the fridge. Organized.
Yeah, I would not say genius, but I never saw one. That's the thing. But genius for Sarah.
Here are some of the actual reasons that Americans love their ice, some of which might surprise you.
Okay.
And before I skate on thin ice with my British subscribers, I want to start this deep dive by addressing a popular misconception among Americans that European countries don't themselves have ice cubes. This, of course,
we have ice cubes. What the hell?
Yeah.
We are just not obsessed.
course, is completely and utterly a little bit false. In Britain, for example, not only do many households have trays for creating them, but Brits, albeit to a lesser extent than Americans, do consume iced tea and the like. But definitely not as much as as hot tea. The reason for this misconception appears to be that ice water is not typically served in UK restaurants unless one specifically asks for it, and even then you only get about 1 or 2 ice cubes. In the US, most restaurants
I mean, but two, 3 ice cubes, that's the standard,
Yes,
right?
that's enough.
They put like 10. It's crazy.
will serve it by
So actually, I had a video of me trying Dr. Pepper for the first time. I had the Dr. Pepper on the fridge for one day. I end up drinking Dr. Pepper and all of them end up spamming. No ice cubes, what the hell? And I was like, but this is already frozen.
Yes.
They get triggered by this type of stuff. I mean, my friends, you guys know I love you, but that is something that I will never understand.
it, and even then you only get about 1 or 2 ice cubes. In the US, most restaurants will serve it by default, with waitstaff frequently ensuring that your glass remains topped up. In other words, it's not that Britain eschews ice cubing altogether, it's just that Americans take it to another level. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, Lawrence, this video should have been over in 20 seconds. The answer is simple, Americans just like to be different. And while that seems to be the default perception toward most things America, I've read enough to know that this belief doesn't always hold water. Pun intended. In other words, ice cube fanaticism, much like American vocabulary, is not so much a product of American hysteria, but American history. You see, America's ice fixation in this, the era of refrigeration, owes much to the century that preceded it. In 1800, when the US was still young enough to be covered under its parents' healthcare plan, one American in particular came up with a revolutionary idea: ice harvesting. This was where icemen would cut huge blocks of ice from lakes and rivers for the express purpose of using them for refrigeration. They were sort of...
Okay, to be fair, it's kind of crazy to think about a world without ice.
Yes.
Because for them to get ice, they had to cut ice from a lake.
And travel.
And travel with that. I don't even know how they did that. Actually, I guess we are learning, sorry.
Revolutionary idea: ice harvesting. This was where icemen would cut huge blocks of ice from lakes and rivers for the express purpose of using them for refrigeration. They were sort of like ice cubes, but for giants. In fact, the blocks weighed up to 300 pounds, which is roughly equal to 3 large dogs, or The Undertaker. Because this was during a time when icemen didn't have a direct...
Wait, 3 dogs
Is
have the same as The Undertaker. The Undertaker is massive. Okay.
to 3 large dogs,
Probably American dogs. Everything is bigger there.
or The Undertaker. Because this was during a time when icemen didn't have a direct line to Charles Xavier, they had to enlist horses to transport the ice, which would then be stored in special ice houses from where it could be exported. And why am I telling you this in 2024? Because for the next century and a half, ice harvesting became a massive industry in the United States. It was the brainchild of Bostonian businessman Frederick Tudor, who would later be dubbed the Ice King, despite Boston only recently saying it didn't want a monarch. Tudor made an absolute fortune selling to other countries ice harvested in New England. Further
I don't understand this. How the hell did they sold ice to other countries without melting on the way?
Never imagine you can
Do
put
this
a business with ice.
I mean, no. I can understand it. They have the machines to transport. They sell ice in America. Okay, so if you go to... by the way, they also sell ice here, but I think no one... I mean, not no one, but I never see people buying ice on the supermarket.
We know the recipe.
We know the recipe, that's true. But in America, I think it's quite common to go to a gas station and pick 3 bags of ice.
Really?
I bet there is people watching us that did this recently. My friend, be honest.
adding substance to my water on the rocks joke from earlier. In fact, by the 1880s, ice was America's second largest export after cotton. Among the beneficiaries were Cuba, India, England, and most notably Norway, which subsequently began its own ice harvesting industry. And of course, ice harvesting gradually benefited American society. Indeed, it was known as ice harvesting because ice was literally considered a crop. At first, this crop would be distributed to the wealthy who would use it to preserve meat and beverages, something that was of particular importance during those hot summer months. But as the century wore on, ice was made available to businesses up and down the country. It revolutionized various food markets because it meant that meat, fish, and vegetables could be more easily stored and transported without rotting. Moreover, by the 1860s, when Tudor was busy seeking revenge against his barber, 2/3 of homes in Boston and New York received ice deliveries on the daily. America presumably had so much ice that the only natural next step was to start putting it in drinks. Don't believe me? Well, American author Mark Twain, who was obsessed with technological invention, not only himself confirmed it, but cited it as a uniquely American practice. I think that there is only one thing that can be called by the wide name American, that is the national devotion to ice water. That sounded exactly like him. Like Twain.
Nowadays, peanut butter also.
Ice harvesting continued on into the 20th century, along with ice cubes. Indeed, it was during the Great Depression that America gave us the first flexible ice tray. Today, of course, these are normally made of plastic, but back then, metal trays were all the rage. Around the same time, General Electric rolled out the so-called monitor-top refrigerator, the world's first mass-produced residential fridge. And the rise of the personal refrigerator soon led to the mass production of its cousin, the freezer. By 1948, around 90% of American homes were equipped with a fridge. Compare this to Britain, still reeling from the economic effects of World War II, where only 2% of homes could say the same.
Wait, did you understand the stat? Sorry.
Personal refrigerator soon led to the mass production of its cousin, the freezer. By 1948, around 90%.
1948. Okay, after World War II. Okay, pay attention.
Soon led to the mass production of its cousin, the freezer. By 1948, around 90% of American homes were equipped with a fridge. Compare this to Britain, still reeling from the economic effects of World War II, where only 2% of homes could say the same. And the refrigerator...
2% in Europe, in this case, not in Europe, but let's say in the UK, and the Americans already had this. That's crazy. Damn.
Boom ultimately meant two things. Number one, America's love of ice cubes had now reached a level of convenience that would have made Mark Twain do this with his face. And number two, by the middle of the 20th century, the ice harvesting industry, which had then existed for 85% of US history, died out overnight. In doing so, it left behind a legacy still felt by the global food industry today. But it also played a central role in establishing America's warm relationship with ice. Okay, history schmistery, you might be thinking, but why are Americans still doing this in 2024? Can't they just cool it? Well, that's exactly what they are doing. You see, just as British winters don't deliver nearly as much ice as those of the northern United States, British summers are not nearly as hot. So, back when I heroically traversed the Rockies in 99-degree heat, anything less than ice water would have been an insult. And when I say I traversed the Rockies, I meant that I walked up a hill in Utah. The point is, the cult of Ice Cube has persisted in America partially because its devotees derive practical use from it. Of course, as heat waves become more common in the UK, might the same thing happen there? After all, the UK did eventually get on board with refrigerators, with that 2% figure rising to 97% in the years since. To me, this seems unlikely. Not only is that like comparing apples and oranges, but UK fridges and freezers are typically much smaller than those in America. In other words, not every British family has the real estate to prioritise ice cubes, especially when Feast ice creams exist.
That's my favorite ice cream, by the way.
America, not only do larger units mean more space for ice trays, but some models even have an ice cube dispenser, as I found at my previous address. And some of my more observant subscribers might be thinking, wait a minute, what happened to the big fridge that came with your house? We're not 5 people, it had to go, which is why we got a smaller...
Why, Lawrence? Why?
Mistakes are made. No. So you went from that one to this one. Are we in Europe? What the hell is this? We are in America. This is how we roll. What?
With your house. We're not 5 people. It had to go.
It does not matter.
Which is why we got a smaller fridge and an ice making machine.
Oh my God! Looks so. Okay. I mean, sorry.
That's why he buy ice.
Yeah, we have a similar one to this, and let's also not play. This is quite more beautiful. Yes. I mean, look at this. This means you are living well, or in America.
Might be thinking, wait a minute, what happened to the big fridge that came with your house? We're not 5 people, it had to go. Which is why we got a smaller fridge and an ice making machine.
Who does this?
However, all of this talk of 4-sided objects got me thinking, perhaps the ultimate reason that Americans love ice cubes is that Americans also have a broader love of rectangles. Under a flag that boasts more
really?
rectangles than, say, 99% of all of the countries in the world, in a country of rectangular counties, some of which form rectangular...
No, basically, Lawrence believes that Americans are also obsessed with rectangles. There is a video about this, actually, because if you look at the map, everything is a rectangle, which
Okay.
I don't buy it, to be honest with you.
In a country of
Because, I mean, yeah, there is. There is a point, but but look at Texas. Texas is different. California, quite
Yes.
different.
rectangular counties, some of which form rectangular panhandles or knitted quilts, or the utilization of land in America as illustrated by Forbes. In cities of rectangular neighborhoods in which rectangles live side by side in total harmony, there are rectangular lawns containing circular fire pits for safety reasons. But in the rectangular houses, there are rectangular kitchens with their rectangular
Oh my
freezers,
God.
with rectangular
Yes.
trays, with smaller rectangular trays that
No,
make
no, but this is everywhere. It's not just America.
rectangular ice. And if you haven't seen my video on 6 food dishes I only discovered after moving to America, you'll do that.
Okay, Sarah, thank you so much for watching this with me.
you.
Now you understand a bit better
Yes.
why Americans
You
love
have to
ice.
put ice cubes in your list. The top 10, the most famous. American thing.
No. You mean the things that they are the best?
Yes, yes.
I may have to add this one because they are also the best at ice cubes. That's a great point, Sarah. Sarah, say goodbye to our friends.
Bye.
Bye, my friends.